marketing section, I want you to remember one phrase, one term, one little thing, and that is always remember to market the property and not the people. One of the things that I want to impress upon you is that we have the potential to get in trouble in real estate marketing with discrimination, with a lot of things like that whenever we start thinking about the people groups. Now, having said that, when we develop strategies, you can't also ignore the people groups, but you have to be very, very careful whenever you market not to market to specific people groups. Always market the property, never the people groups. Okay, so that's the first concept that I wanted to kind of share with you in this chapter. The other things, the two most important practices or principles in marketing that the book will talk about are number one, know the product, and number two, use your current customer base. There's a phrase that says birds of feathers flock together. If you have tenant bases or tenants that you like, then go to those tenants and see if they have anybody else that might want to rent from you. If they're good tenants, you're probably going to get good tenants. Likewise, you're probably not going to want to ask your tenants that aren't doing a very good job if they have anybody or know anybody that would want to rent a place. So those are the first thing. Know the product, know specifics about the product, and there's a lot of details in this module, in this chapter regarding that. The marketing activities that we do that it's talked about in this specific chapter are advertising campaign strategies, promotional efforts, and then personal selling techniques. In advertising campaign strategies, it breaks it down into the types of properties, which we've talked about. It's important to understand that it's different marketing, different types of properties. You have retail is different from residential. Residential is different from office. Office is different from industrial. So it's important to differentiate those and know what type of property you're dealing with whenever you set up the campaign strategy. Secondly, you need to know the supply and demand. It's going to depend on how many tenants you need, which type of advertising you want to use. And then third, the financial resources that you have. Some of them you're just not going to be able to afford. Others are more affordable types of advertising. If you look at advertising methods, we can kind of run down a list. You have signs, newspaper advertising. Newspaper advertising we break down into classified ads and display ads. You have internet sites like Craigslist, things like that. Periodicals, radio, television, direct mail. Brochures, flyers, and then mixed media are the different types of methods of advertising. Press releases are a good way to get your word out. If you have an opening of a new complex, you can put out a press release. Many times those press releases turn into articles, which are great forms of advertising for your new product. The manager's role in personal selling. In my class, I tell this story of a woman named Robin. When I was first out of school, I was living in Fort Worth, Texas, and I stayed in an apartment complex that had a waiting list. And the reason it had a waiting list was the personal activities that this particular property manager put on. She had parties at the pool. She had Fridays she would provide pizza. She just had a lot of pride. We had different different activities like volleyball against other apartment complexes. She just did a great job of bringing together the community. So there's lots of things that they can do to make people want to live in their complex. So personal selling activities, leasing with broker cooperation. Now, broker cooperation would be a broker bringing a renter to your listing. And we see that a lot in commercial. We don't see that a lot in residential, although there are some times that we do see that, but it's more common in commercial. When you're qualifying a tenant, we talk about questions regarding space, urgency, when they need to move, who's the decision maker. Make sure that you're dealing with the decision maker. Creating interest. How can I create interest in this product to this person? And then negotiating and closing techniques are talked about in this chapter. The economy or the economics of marketing. This comes into tracking different mechanisms or different advertising techniques. We want to keep a records and the cost per product or the cost per prospect per lease numbers so that we know what works and what does not work. Let me know if you have any issues. Thank you very much.